Greetings and felicitations.
Hip hip hurrah, tally ho.
Hey, who's that cute girl in the mirror?
It's the Mirror Universe Kavora.
Oh no, I hope not. Because you're awesome in real life. I don't ever want to deal with the super mean you.
Oh well.
Now, since the Mirror Universe took over the second half of the season, let's just encompass all these episodes together and talk about what makes them unique individually, but the common thread amongst them.
Hey, what'd you think about this episode?
I love this one.
It was great. Entitled,
Despite Yourself.
Now, before watching this, we got to figure this episode came in after the break, with the
after
first
the
half of
Christmas
the
break
season.
and everything.
Yes. So, what was interesting is Jonathan Frakes directed this episode, and apparently he let it leak out that there would be some references to the Mirror Universe, and the internet was all buzz about that. Like, oh no, he slipped up. He wasn't supposed to say anything. Which, to me, I don't think he's that ignorant to slip up. I think that was planted purposely to get people excited about this half of the season. That's my opinion. But guess what? It worked because we were excited about it.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah. Because we have heard about gag orders for when they were filming these shows, so it's hard to believe that Jonathan Frakes would just slip up and mention it when he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. These gag orders, these NDAs, they take them super seriously. We know that's why David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the original Star Trek trilogy,
Star Wars
trilogy, was banned from conventions because he slipped up and said that he was Luke's father. I mean, they take these things really seriously. So, it's all good. It worked. It got us talking during the Christmas break, but let's talk about the episode.
Well, now, first of all, we watched this episode when we were on the Star Trek cruise.
That's right. So we watched it with someone. What they did, they were really smart. They actually, when we were on one of the islands, they went to a cafe, they used their laptop to stream and download the episode, and then bring that episode back on the ship, and then connect it to the television in their room. Great idea.
I mean, these people they're so innovative.
Yeah, we didn't have the means to do that. We were very grateful to be invited with that room party. And we had a lot of room parties that
were on that
because we're
cruise,
in so many different clubs and groups and everything. I think that's one of the fun things about being in fan clubs. But yes, that's where we saw it, was on the Star Trek cruise.
And so, being able to watch it with a group of people who all love Star Trek, I mean, it was awesome.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I did love about this episode is I thought it was fascinating that they made references to the Mirror Universe, but they gave us the disco version of the aesthetics. Let's talk about those aesthetics.
Yeah, the uniforms were totally different from the episode Mirror Mirror from TOS. The uniforms were not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to Enterprise, remember the Mirror Universe uniforms they used on Enterprise? It was not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the totally different version of the Mirror Universe uniforms for the Empire, the Terran Empire. But they were cool looking. I loved the way they looked.
Yes.
The black with the gold, and the higher rank you are, the more gold you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic looking. It had more of a military feel, whereas in the original series and in Enterprise, it had a reflection of the original, the Prime Universe uniforms, where this was drastically different from what we see as the uniforms that we know so far in Discovery.
They decided to go with black and
especially
making
with
it dark.
capes,
yeah,
and with armor, because we know that there's some depth to the armor that we see on them.
Yes, they made it really interesting to. Yeah, and the way that it was different on different people too was very visually stimulating.
And they still made some references to the original series, like Captain Lorca having a Scottish accent when he's supposed to be an engineer.
Oh, when he was pretending to be the engineer, and he had to change his voice because he thought that they might recognize Lorca's voice, so he changed it, and and pretending to be Scottish was cute. It was so funny.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't talk too much about the Tilly character in our rewatch because I just don't like to be negative. I don't want to be one of those hater fans that just keeps having heavy gripes about things, but I really do not connect with her at all on any way. I don't see how she would ever be in Starfleet. I don't see how she would get through the Academy. But the Mirror Universe version of her, or her trying to be Captain Killy, I thought was really amusing. And I give the actress credit for how she showed her bumbling idiot self, and then all of a sudden now she has to be someone to be reckoned with.
I love that they made her character so different. I mean, it's the Mirror Universe, and so like her character was completely opposite. Because in the Mirror Universe, she was, like probably the same age, but rose up through the Empire a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So she was obviously much more vicious.
Yes.
And it was funny. Tilly, the Prime Universe Tilly pretending to be that evil. It was funny to watch. And even though she stumbled at first, she pulled it off very well.
And how they made the aesthetics of her grooming a bit different. Because oftentimes in the Mirror Universe, something changes a little bit. So with the original series, no one really changed except for Spock. They added a goatee on him. Whereas with this series, we're not seeing so much changes in grooming. But with her, they straightened her hair out. They gave her a different kind of do. And I thought it worked well with establishing the difference with this character.
It did, giving her a different look, and of course putting on the uniform and everything, and just showing how she acted different. And I think the actress did a remarkable job on that. And she probably, since she is an actress, she probably can play, different parts. So it was great to see her as this, and it was great to see another side of Tilly, and being forced into this position and seeing what she could do.
Yes.
The fact that Saru mentioned he said this universe has a different quantum signature, so that's how they knew they were in a parallel universe. I mean, quantum signatures weren't mentioned until The Next Generation. It was never mentioned on TOS.
Mm-hmm.
But that was something they threw in, and for us, because we've heard the term before, we could make the association that it was a parallel universe. And the episode Parallels, where Worf was going to different universes, or basically different timelines, and they called it, they could tell it because of the quantum signature.
Yes. And we've seen, believe it or not, if you count the original series, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, this would be the 9th episode of Star Trek to involve the Mirror Universe.
That's interesting. I guess that sounds about right.
And we know that Next Generation never had the Mirror Universe, but they did in the comic books.
Yeah, and also Voyager never did it, but they did in the comic books too.
Of course, yes.
And of course there were novels that took place in the Mirror Universe, and I loved all of those novels too.
Yes, and shortly after this, we started picking up the Mirror Universe comics that directly related to these episodes. And again, for the first half of the season, we had comic books that dealt with the first half. Second half of the season, they had comic book tie-ins. And I think IDW does a fantastic job of working with CBS because they work in close proximity to make sure that the storylines make sense.
Yeah, the tie-in novels and the comics, they're actually trying to produce them in conjunction with the show and with the writers to have them actually to at least not contradict each other, at least not for the time being.
Correct.
The thing is, the show is still free to do things later that might contradict it, but at the time they make them, they do try to keep the storylines in sync.
Yes.
And that's great because, we didn't have that with the previous shows.
Mm-hmm. So when I reminisce about watching this episode, yes, the cruise comes up, the excitement of getting these comics out of our pull box was fantastic. I liked some of the quotes of this show when Captain Killy was talking to the Mirror Universe ship. She says, "That how you treat your long-lost captain? If you greeted me that way, Connor, I'd cut out your tongue and use it to lick my boots." I was like, it's so different than what Tilly was. I was like, that's great. Like, this is, it shows to me that she has some sort of assertiveness within her. If she could just channel it in the proper direction, she can do something with it.
It was really such a silly line. I mean, it was
but it's
funny,
hysterical.
But then you think, wow, so Tilly can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was toward the beginning, when they showed all of the room, when they showed the room with all of the agonizer booths.
Oh, I love that.
And then, and the people we were watching it with on the cruise, that, like, they all cheered. It was just so cool.
You're like, how sadistic is that? We're all excited. Yay, people are agonizing. Yeah, they're getting tortured.
Because we recognize it from the original series.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But you still have to think, how could such a universe exist? I mean, the Terran Empire, you move up by killing someone. So, I mean, you're constantly in fear, which is what they mentioned. But always being afraid that someone's going to kill you. And the thing is always having a new person in charge, because there's always someone going to kill a person. So it's like they're always changing leaderships. Even in this episode, they changed leaderships with Burnham killing Connor and becoming captain of the Shinzo in that universe. I mean, it's like so many changes in leadership all the time. It just seems like that would cause complete chaos. It couldn't really work.
And I love the Shinzo. I'm glad that it came back. I think it's a beautiful ship. I was very frustrated at the beginning of season 1 when it got destroyed. So yes, the return of the Shinzo. It's always a thumbs up when I see more ships that I actually like, because I think it's a pretty looking ship. It's so unique in the Star Trek universe.
And because we didn't get to see it that much.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to find out is, other things coming back in the Mirror Universe.
Yep.
So another thing about this episode is, this is where Tyler goes to Culber, and Dr. Culber finds out that there's a different personality hidden in Tyler.
Yes.
And this is where Tyler kills Culber. A very pivotal scene.
We were just talking about the last episode, how much we love their relationship, how
between Culber and Stamets.
Oh yeah,
yes.
It's like they're such a wonderful couple. They have quips amongst themselves, but they're grounded in reality. And so to see this happen, none of us expected this. It was a absolute total shock.
Yeah, now this is the one spoiler that didn't get released before we saw it.
And I'm glad it didn't.
But the thing is, because we always thought Culber was a main character. We never thought he would be killed.
Correct.
And, but it just seems so, it's also sort of a stereotypical TV thing for, like another gay man got killed or something.
Yeah.
So it was sad in that way. And because we liked Culber. He was a good character.
Oh, absolutely. He was likable right at the beginning.
Yeah, he was always a nice guy.
Yes.
But seeing him with Stamets was always fun too.
Mm-hmm.
And even and when the first, going back to the episode where we first saw Culber and Stamets together, and we didn't know that they were lovers at the time, and they were arguing in that first scene when they were together. That was so funny. It's neat to think about that now.
So to follow them through in such a short period of time, this is actually one death that I felt bad about. That we only got within such a short period of time. Exactly. Yeah. Whereas with what was the robot? Was it Arium?
Arium.
I didn't care about that at all.
Yeah, when she died, well, she had been on a lot of episodes when she died, but she wasn't a well-developed character.
Yes, whereas this couple, and especially to happen to him in that way, so abruptly, I mean, my God. And we were hoping for Ash Tyler. We were so sympathetic to him all along. We're like, wow, he's a victim.
Right. Right. And now he's a killer. So now you're kind of going, whoa.
Yes. So this episode hits a home run on so many ways because, of course, we're old school. We love that warm retro feeling, anything that goes back to the original series. We like the new aesthetic, the new developments that we're finding out about this Disco Universe's Terran Empire. But we love the direction that this second half of the season is going. A lot of action, intrigue, especially with Lorca too. I mean, his command style is so unique. He's a hands-on captain. Reminds me of Captain Kirk.
Well, that's a different view, but so yeah, we're going to find out more about Lorca in later episodes.
I mean, we see that the captains oftentimes from Next Generation forward are just going to step back. They'll put their first in command to go do something. Whereas Captain Lorca is like, okay, we got to make this happen. I'm jumping in.
And that was
so when I say Captain Kirk, I mean that sense of he wants to be on the front lines. But we know he has another reason for that.
We know other things.
But at the time we didn't. Yeah. At the time we didn't.
But when you think about this show is supposed to take place 10 years before the original series, then you do have to think Lorca would be more of the Captain Kirk type of captain.
Yes.
Because it wasn't until we got to Picard that we had the captain who didn't go on away missions most of the time.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Good point. I did like the reference, too, that Dr. Culber discusses with Tyler, the Manchurian protocols. Multiple times have we heard and seen references to that classic Frank Sinatra movie, The Manchurian Candidate, that talks about mind control. It's like it's one of the must-see films to. If you're a Star Trek fan, you have to see The Manchurian Candidate to see the origin of some of these classic episodes and how mind control plays even in the future of the Star Trek universe.
The TNG episode, I think it was The Mind's Eye, where Geordi was brainwashed.
Oh, that was
based on that.
That was virtually a scene for scene of The Manchurian Candidate. And then there was a TOS episode that had elements of it. What was the one where
Dagger of the Mind?
Dagger of the Mind. Yes. Yeah, totally. So another reference to that. Overall, your feeling of the episode, I mean, I know what the feeling was. Great one. Great one going forward, right? Into the second half of the season.
Yes, and I mean, I was so excited to see the Mirror Universe. You know, as we said, because we love the Mirror Universe. And also it had, they mentioned the Defiant too.
Yes.
Which was great because we know the Defiant went over to the Mirror Universe.
Tholian Web connection there?
Yeah, the Tholian Web and then Enterprise referenced it. They had it on Enterprise.
So we're seeing on multiple levels callbacks to different Star Trek. Yep. And it just whet our appetite. The ending whet our appetite for the next episode. And I think at this point in watching Discovery, I really, really, really wanted to see what was going to happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, this is where you're really on the edge of your seat more than the other episodes. This one you really want to continue and see what's going to happen next.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next episode we're talking about is The Wolf Inside. So in this one, they're still in the Mirror Universe.
I like this because we're seeing more aspects of the Mirror Universe, and the crew of the Discovery needs to work some things out.
Yeah, this one is still dealing a lot with personal issues, which I liked. I mean, it's one of the things about the show. At least it still kept the personal level of the characters the way Star Trek has always been when it's good. It's supposed to be about the people. So Burnham and Tyler are on the Shinzo in the Mirror Universe. Burnham is the one who's in command.
Yes. And we have to get Stamets' neurofunctioning going on until he's overseeing that process.
Yes, so Stamets and Tilly are on the Discovery. And of course, this is where Stamets is going into the mycelial network and he meets his double, his mirror self. Mm-hmm. I think he was the only character that actually saw his mirror self. The other people don't really run into their other selves.
That's gotta be awkward.
Yeah. And it's funny that Stamets had to do it there in the mycelial network.
It was a long teaser for this too. It was going on and on, saying, "Did I miss the credits?" I remember watching it, saying, "Like, did we miss something?" Took a good
you
10,
never
15
know.
minutes.
Yeah, with this show, it's like, well, what?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I'm really waiting for that anyway. I'm really just watching it. But then once the teaser comes on and you're like, oh yeah, they haven't even done that yet. And it's been like, like almost halfway through the show.
What'd you think about Sarek having a goatee?
I liked it. I mean, and I always liked the goatees on the Vulcans. I mean, that's become a standard now. In the Mirror Universe, the Vulcan males have a goatee. That kind of set a standard too, because other shows have tried to do that. Like anytime someone has an evil twin, he has to have a goatee. I mean, they did that on Charmed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's funny.
They did, yeah. And on South Park. So I like the idea that, Tyler is learning more about himself here when he saw the Vogue. He met himself in a way because the Vogue of the Mirror Universe is there on the planet, and Tyler sees him, and when he sees Vogue speaking Klingon, it kind of stirs up memories in Tyler and makes him more fearful and kind of bringing back memories of who he was. And Tyler and Burnham having feelings for each other and trying to express that. I liked their relationship in this and throughout this season.
What'd you think about seeing Andorians and Tellarites on the ground level?
That was cool too. Yeah, I liked how they were bringing familiar aliens, and at this time, this is still considered early in the Federation years, but we do know that they were part of some of the founding members of the Federation, so of course they would be there. And even though they changed them from, they should look close to what they looked like on the original series, but now they've changed how they do the makeup on them, which you have to say, well, that's just because they can do the prosthetics and makeup better now.
But I'm saying they changed it a little bit for Enterprise, and they were still recognizable. This, with Andorians having bones popping out of their head, it just...
Yeah, it seemed like a little much.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who has bones starting popping out of their head? Again, this reinforces the idea that I feel this is an alternate timeline in itself.
It looks like it. Well, now on Enterprise, but the Tellarites on Enterprise, I mean, they were drastically changed from the original series Tellarites.
They were, very much so.
And
but
I think
this was a step beyond even that.
Yeah, it was. So this show changed them even more. But you could tell what they were because of the pig-like features.
Mm-hmm. And that rolls us into the next episode, Vaulting Ambition.
Okay. Well, so right at the end of The Wolf Inside was when we see Georgiou.
Which I love.
So now in Vaulting Ambition,
Perfect
she becomes
transition.
a main character, yes.
Uh-huh. She is stunning. She is absolutely stunning as the Emperor.
Yes, and the thing is, when she played Captain Georgiou, in the first 2 episodes, and I was so disappointed that she got killed then.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is great to bring her back, and to have her as the evil Empress.
Well, that's the thing. I would say Empress,
mm-hmm.
but they keep calling it Emperor.
That's right. Oh yeah, they
Which
do
I'm
say
not
Emperor.
a fan of. Why would they call it? When I think Emperor, I think of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand why they would make that change, but whatever.
Well, it's the non-gender title.
I'm not buying into it.
Just like, I don't know, I kind of see it like calling Savick Mr. Savick. I mean...
Yeah, I like her better. Like you said, your natural inclination is to call her Empress.
Yeah, knowing it's a woman, yeah, you want to say Empress, but I can still see Emperor because... I don't know. It's just something. She's still the Emperor, the one who's in charge. And we see more of Lorca in this one now, in Vaulting Ambition.
We sure do. And so now he is actually in his timeline that he's supposed to be in. So he's in the right spot.
Yeah, this is what he's always been trying to get back to. We find out that Lorca is... The Lorca we've seen all this time was actually the one from the Mirror Universe.
Stamets is still in the mycelial network. So we have multiple storylines going in fairly rapid succession. So there's a lot going on every week when we're watching this.
I mean, I like how they're advancing the story, and they're still making it about the characters. And really, with the Mirror Universe, this is really the first time they've had something personal about the characters like this. It was a little harder when they did it. I mean, on TOS, it was more like just seeing that the Mirror Universe is there, even though I love that episode. On Deep Space Nine, the Mirror Universe episodes seemed to be more plot driven, even though the characters were interesting, but it was just more about, they were still just vying for power. It wasn't as much personal about the characters. So here we're getting a lot more into the characters, because Burnham is wrestling with the idea of Georgiou being the alternate of her a mentor that she had known for so long.
Yes. I loved the ship, the ISS Charon. I mean, that thing was huge.
That was a neat looking ship too. Yeah, so I think we're supposed to believe that Georgiou actually rules from this ship instead of from a planet.
It's supposed to be an Imperial Palace ship. Again, another tie to Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's this massive, massive ship, because the Star Destroyers, the largest one was the Executioner. And so that's where Darth Vader was stationed, and he would communicate with the Emperor on that ship. You know, unless you're a fan of both series, we won't see the connections there, but I see it.
That's interesting, because I don't know if it was really thought of when they were writing this.
And I wouldn't have thought of it either until they kept referring to her as Emperor.
Oh, okay, that made you think of it. But the Emperor in Star Wars was a male.
Correct.
Okay.
But he's just called the Emperor.
Yes.
They refer to her constantly as the Emperor. That's what made me think of the connections.
Okay. And now this is the episode where Georgiou tells Burnham, choose a Kelpian.
I hated that.
Yeah, that's that scene that everyone goes, ugh. But you still, it still stays with you though. I mean,
but a lot of people just thought it was fun. They'd make memes over it and everything. I mean,
it was pretty tragic, yeah.
I mean, she's worried that she's eating her friend.
I know, and
it's
if
terrible. You're a
terrible.
cold and callous person, that's funny. To me, I didn't think that was funny at all. I was like, that's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
The show has made something out of like eating people. I mean, you know how because the Klingons supposedly ate Georgiou back in the Prime Universe.
Yes. Yeah. So it just showed how. I mean, in the future, I know it's inconsistent, but overall, Star Trek is going to be plant-based once you get to probably Next Generation on completely. That's the only time where it's been established. Riker makes the argument of we no longer have to eat meat. So mankind has gone beyond that. Technology and everything necessary for growing plants and proteins it's going to advance in the future. So this is probably super striking to people who are not used to eating meat, or at least on a regular basis.
Except that this is in the alternate universe, though. In the
Correct,
Mirror Universe,
for Michael Burnham, though,
right? She was repulsed by it.
Absolutely, she was. Sure, on multiple levels. Yes, it's her friend, but whoa, there's something wrong here.
Yes, definitely. And this is the one where they have that great fight scene with Georgiou, of course, because Michelle Yeoh is such a great fighter.
She's amazing,
and she goes against her. It's actually her own people when she's killing them.
I love
because
it.
to keep.
I love the sounds.
Yeah.
I love the sights. I love how she organized everything. Her tactics. She's amazing. Now, she needs to be in a part that is full of action. That's where she belongs. I mean, this is the perfect casting for this character. Not everyone could pull it off the way she does.
And I don't know if it was really planned though when they gave her the part. Like, she's just going to be in the first 2 episodes, and then did they really think at that time that they would bring her back? Which, well, maybe they did.
I'm going to think she did, because look at the movies that she was in before. James Bond.
Like why would they hire her and not have her fight or something?
Of course.
Well, Jason,
she's in fantastic shape.
She is, yeah. Jason Isaacs, that plays Lorca, he said that he did know from the beginning that he was playing Lorca from the Mirror Universe.
That's right.
So so that means they always knew that they were going to be going to the Mirror Universe with this first season.
And she really did injure Jason Isaacs.
Yes, in a fight scene, yes.
Yeah. She's tough. Not messing with her. Next episode, What's Past is Prologue. We're continuing to move the story forward. We know there's a coup against the Emperor, and the focus is on Burnham. She has to save the Discovery and herself. What'd you think about this episode?
I like this one too. So this one was actually the last one of the Mirror Universe storyline. So they stretched it out some. I think they stretched it more than they were going to. I think they were going to have like 12 episodes for the whole season, but then they decided to make it 15 so they could stretch out this part. But it turned out good. It was so now we have Lorca and the final battle with Georgiou, and well, Lorca dies in this one. Oh yeah, and of course, so everybody's wondering, like, well, what happened to the Prime Universe Lorca? I mean, he could be dead, but still, they could find a way to bring him back since we actually haven't seen him. Oh, and this was the first time we got to see Mira Landry. I guess the only time, but it's funny how Mira Landry, even though she was evil and everything. I mean, it was fitting for her to be evil in this universe, but in the Prime Universe, no one liked her because she always seemed so mean.
I thought that was great to have her return.
Yeah, it was great. And the thing is, I don't know, for some reason I like her better here, this mirror version of her than the one in the Prime Universe. I guess because here she can be evil and it's fitting, like she's supposed to be evil here, so I like her in this universe. It's almost like, though, if everybody's the mirror image, then she should be nice in this universe.
Mm-hmm. But I think it wrapped everything up nicely. It helped us to explore the characters more, because they were forced to make changes on themselves.
Yes, especially Burnham, the way she basically rescued Georgiou at the end and brought her back to the Prime timeline. And
I did not expect that at all.
It's very questionable behavior. I mean, come on, she's the Empress. She's the most evil one there, and you're going to bring her home with you? But Burnham she still wants to see her as a mentor, because that's the way she saw her Georgiou that she knew for so long. But I think it was sad to see Lorca die. I still liked him and would love to have seen something else happen with him. He could have come back to the Prime Universe as a good guy. Maybe he experienced all this stuff and decided to change, but oh well.
So we have two essentially wrap-up episodes with regards to all that we've seen this season. The first being The War Without, The War Within.
Yes. So this is the one where they talk about Vogue and Tyler, where Vogue underwent, they called it species reassignment. I mean, just to explain what happened, but we already know that Klingons do, like disguise people as humans.
We know that
infiltrate.
From TOS.
Yes.
Trouble with Tribbles. That was the first time we've seen anything like that.
A Klingon spy that looked human, yes. So at the end of What's Past is Prologue, is when they go back to the Prime Universe and find out that, they go back to, in their Prime Universe, it's actually 9 months later than when they left. And now they know that the Federation has lost the war with the Klingons. So in this episode, The War Without with the War Within, they're still trying to figure out how they can defeat the Klingons. And of course, right when they get back to their own universe, you have Cornwell and Sarek going to Discovery. And the thing is, they know that the Discovery was destroyed in their universe. So that was the Mirror Universe Discovery that got destroyed.
Yes.
And so now we've got this Discovery, and Sarek does a mind meld with Saru and finds out that they have been to a Mirror Universe and everything.
And Admiral Cornwell mentioned that this is the first time a Federation ship is going to Kronos in 100 years. And so that is the reference to Enterprise TV series.
Yes. Starfleet ship going to the Klingon homeworld, Kronos. So that's where they decided to go. And it was really Georgiou's idea. And she, in her universe, she hates the Klingons. So they're enemies to her there, and also to Starfleet here. Oh, and of course, going to the mirror universe is classified. So on TOS, they didn't know that anybody had been to a mirror universe before.
How did you think about Michelle Yeoh in this episode?
It was an interesting part.
She's
what did you think?
She's deceiving.
Right, yeah, she doesn't fight in this one, but
she doesn't. But man,
yeah.
her character is so awesome, and she's so cunning.
I mean, she's not trying to fit in. She's still doing... Yeah, I guess because she has this natural instinct to be cunning, to stay on top of things, and to be in control. So that's what she's still trying to do here.
And the season closes out with, "Will you take my hand?" Georgiou is supposed to be ending the Klingon War once and for all. And once again, we realize she is a force to be reckoned with.
This one was a fun episode. When they're on Kronos and they go to that, like a city there, that the Klingons had let the Orions have this one section.
Love seeing it. We love seeing more aliens.
And we got to see Clint Howard, someone who was he's already been on Star Trek, so this time he played an Orion, and that was neat seeing him. And of course, and we recognized him the first time we saw him.
Yes, and it was funny to see how everyone responded in this sex place. Some were uncomfortable. Boy, Georgiou was super comfortable, though. She fit right in.
Yeah, she just took, she just went with a male and female Orion. And yeah, she liked it there. She was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
How'd you feel about how the Orions were portrayed in this episode?
It was okay. They acted the way we expect them to act. And of course I know, like, when you see Tandy on lower decks, then we find out that she's a different type of Orion who wants to be considered a Starfleet officer and not all of these other things that we think of as Orions. And that's fine too. In this episode, Will You Take My Hand, we're seeing these Orions as the pirates and as the slaves, just as we would imagine them to be, because some of them are just like that. And they had a shrine to Malor on this. And I know Molar was a Klingon, a hated tyrant that lived like hundreds or thousands of years ago, and Kalis opposed him. I mean, that was just cool that they mentioned that. That was another throwback.
But the idea of destroying Kronos and plot to make this happen, I thought this was part of the suspense of the show.
And to think that was all Georgiou's idea, because she hates the Klingons that much, and she didn't think anything about destroying the planet. So it was what she wanted. She didn't
view it as genocide.
She just saw it as, this is what people do, you know.
We got to see L'Rell return here, and L'Rell has been a constant thread, and we've met the actress numerous times at conventions.
Mary Chieffo, oh, she's wonderful.
And she's embraced the character. She really has.
She's so nice to the fans. She loves the fans, and after she got this part, she went back and researched all of Star Trek and the Klingons and everything. So she was really getting into it. Yeah. And so in this episode, L'Rell actually becomes the Klingon chancellor. She becomes the leader, the ruler. And that's just so awesome that she got that. I mean, after like never really being in charge, she worked for Cole, she worked for Takuvma, but she never really got to be the one in charge until now.
And I thought that was a great character arc. We don't often see in Star Trek, not often, it's not impossible, it's improbable that we see the adversaries' character arcs.
Yes.
This much. And so we're seeing more growth and development of so many in this show. And I like the show to end on a positive note. The season.
Yes. Well, and just to mention that, because they said on TNG that women can't serve on the Klingon Council, and so that always comes up. But even in Star Trek 6, as it were, the female, the
That's
daughter,
right.
the daughter of the chancellor became the chancellor. So apparently back then, in the past, in the 23rd century, it was okay for the female Klingons to be the rulers. Just to throw that in there.
Or, what do I say? This is the disco timeline.
Yeah, it's a different timeline, so they can do what they want.
Pretty
apparently,
much. Pretty
because
much.
they do.
They do so often. Yeah. Yep. Fun ride.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the Force be with you. Nanu Nanu.